this morning, of course, you know, being Wonder Women Wednesday, we always have a focused conversation. So today, we are focusing on cesarean section. Now, we will definitely go into details regarding it. However, the background story started from last week when popular comedian, Q Tabiola, do we call him a comedian or an influencer?
What?
Well, he's
online personality at this point.
Well, Q Tabiola posted a video, or rather documented his wife's cesarean section experience, the journey, you know, the hospital and everything. And people came after him saying, oh, that was too private. Right to privacy, is it? Why should you post everything about yourself on social media, including this? Personally, I have nothing against it, but that's my opinion. So I'm wondering, ladies, what's your take on that incident?
So I would love to hear your thoughts on it, because 13 years ago, my husband did exactly the same thing. He documented everything.
Did he post it?
Well, we posted it a few days ago, funny enough. Not the entire process, but when they were born, when they were literally brought out. And the truth is, I don't know if there's any other video of myself online after the birth process and everything. But I found it, I was elated. I was just so happy to be able to share it, because 13 years ago, it was like a taboo to even be seen in a hospital without, you know, with the baby. Even with the baby in the picture, it was like, why are you taking a picture of your newborn? You know, there's just so much around it, so many myths, so many taboos, but I would love to hear your thoughts on what he posted. Of
course, I mean, times have changed. Like you said, 13 years ago, that couldn't happen. But now with social media, everything has changed. However, I think there's some things that are private moments for you and your partner.
Okay.
In maybe 10 years later, 20 years later, you want to celebrate your kids, or you want to celebrate that moment, you can decide that you want to share parts of it, which is what your husband did, and which is why I asked, did he post it at that time? A lot of influencers now, right, they try to chase clout, let me put it that way. Even though I know that it's not clout, but yes, they try to maybe put things so much because they're trying to get traction on their page, so that a lot of people would know what they're about and whatnot. But you cannot use your wife and your newborn baby just because you're trying to chase clout and you want people to come to your YouTube channel. I wouldn't call it chasing clout.
I wouldn't call it that.
I wouldn't call it chasing clout. Winnie, talk to us, please.
I don't see I can see you in thought here,
but
I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, you don't see a problem
with it. To be honest,
I'll
say it to each his own. Right? Whether it's for clout chasing or for what is your story. If you decide to put it on social media, the other day, should be they did the wedding engagement or billboard. My own is, I just feel that as long as the people in question are okay with it, I think it's fine. As long as the woman in question, which is actually the focus for me, right? As long as, I mean, she feels like, okay, in this state, I'm okay, you can post it, and I mean, they've had a conversation and that was done, and that's fine. And the truth is that, yes, people do go out and use their personal information and their personal things happening in their lives for clout now and all that, because they believe whatever brings the numbers, right? Let's have it there. Do you understand? I think that's what I feel. I mean, it's your prerogative to decide.
But don't you think?
But I feel like what the question is right now, or rather, what for me the conversation is, I mean, the idea of CS,
exactly.
Right? There are a lot of things. There are a lot of things that are around. There's a lot of myths and misconceptions around the idea of even having a CS in the first place. You see, you shared with us that yours was elective, meaning from day one you knew that I'm not doing this pushing thing.
So it wasn't from a day one perspective.
Let me land from whatever day, right? So into, okay, fine, we're doing this. You pick the date you're going to do this. But some people still are of the opinion that if you do CS, you are not a proper mother yet.
You're not a real woman.
You're not a real woman. You did not, I mean, you didn't push, you didn't do you understand? So, I mean, where are we?
Woman, no?
Where are we with regards to that conversation?
So I would like to ask you, do you think I'm a real woman? You've seen my kids online. Is there anything wrong with how they were raised?
You feel that?
Is there anything wrong with their morals? Is there anything, have they done it? You know, I'm wondering, health-wise, did they come out fine by the special grace of God? Yes. It was a choice to go to a trusted professional and do this. Now, we went for a scan about 2 weeks before and we noticed that my darling daughters were holding hands. They were sitting in each other's lap like this.
Nice.
You want me to push that one? Is that what you want me to push? 2 children sitting there. Come on. There was no way. The doctor was like, look, and then with that situation, you can't even, mold the belly. You can't do all those procedures.
Because they are twins.
It wasn't going to happen. So we just accepted that this is what God wanted. And we went in and we had it done. It was so funny.
You know one thing, because I know we really need to go into even the pros and cons eventually with the experts.
Sure.
One thing that there are several things people need to know. Number one, when you have a baby via CS, the mother is the one who suffers more. And the likelihood of the child coming out safe is higher. One, especially if done properly and by a professional, okay? So CS, the woman suffers more because unlike vaginal birth, where a woman heals within, some women within 2 days, it's like nothing happened to them. For CS, you are dealing with the pain. Sometimes some people suffer it for months, and there's a scar, which is usually called the warrior scar. And so you have to deal with that. So in fact, I was talking to some male friends, and they told me that they would rather their wives have CS.
Okay.
And it was for a selfish reason, because their child will come out sick. I'm not kidding.
No, I promise you, Mary. I promise you, Mary. It had almost nothing to do with the child. You get my drift.
Okay, so there are some. So not to go on the controversial angle.
Girl.
So that's
you're getting it. Take this.
You just got it.
I got it.
No, but the truth is, a man opting for it he's trying to protect that area that is usually affected.
You just have to go there.
You know what? Let's not deal with men and let's talk about
because a lot of women's sex lives change. Because of vaginal delivery. And some women want to protect that aspect of their life.
Some change for the better.
Honestly,
I'm not giving birth before.
It's a risk.
I mean, I've not pushed, I've not done CS. And sometimes it scares me.
Okay.
And I hear that as a woman, you're whatever it is, I don't want to say the word, but it closes up because it's like an elastic.
It's not a foul word, trust me.
It's not a foul word.
Okay, the vagina would close. I mean, it's daytime television, it's breakfast. So anyways, it would close up because it's like an elastic. So it's not going to be as wide as most people think. However, here's what I want to say and the misconception about CS. If you've gone through CS, it doesn't mean that you're not a woman. It doesn't mean that you're not strong. Because a lot of times they feel, you have to give birth like the Hebrew women.
Okay.
But it doesn't really work that way. And I was sharing with you earlier that I have a friend who from the first day of her pregnancy, she had the IVF thing, and they told her, you have to stay in bed. From then till about 7 months, she was in bed, so she had to travel to America to give birth to the child, and she was still in bed. But that's because the doctors have seen what it is, and they want to manage this situation. And guess what? After that, I think after she gave birth, 4 months later, she took in naturally. And she probably gave birth naturally, because there are people who do CS, and there are people who still give birth naturally.
Mary was touching on that.
I was even going to mention something, especially regarding this issue of a woman is not a woman if she goes through CS. I'll just tell you a short story of someone really close to me. First child was vaginal delivery, perfect, everything went well. Second child, ready to have a, regular delivery. I still do not see any problem with that word though. But you won't have a regular delivery, and then you go to the hospital for a checkup and you're told that, listen, if you do not have that child out today, you won't have a baby tomorrow. And so she was forced against her own will to have a cesarean section, which is what happens sometimes to women. Now note, she has had one that wasn't a CS, the second one is CS. Now, she probably decided that, you know what, I'm done with this, I want to do a VBAC. For those who do not know, there's something called VBAC. A VBAC is vaginal birth after CS. Okay? So that's VBAC. Now, she thought she could do a VBAC, but hey, she went to the hospital, and 2 weeks to her delivery, a gynecologist says, we don't do that here. In Nigeria, we try as much as possible to minimize risk. She says, so please, can you translate what you mean? But then you are going to have CS. And then she's like, wait, what? But you know something? For many women, it is possible. Especially if there's a huge gap between the children, okay? So maybe there's 5-6 years. The likelihood of you being able to have a VBAC is higher. And so There's so many misconceptions.
I have a question. I have a question.
Okay.
So I hear that you can't have CS, I think, more than 2 or 3 times.
Oh, no, that's
that true?
That's not true. It does,
so that's another misconception.
It does depend on the doctor that worked on you, I believe. But there was one thing I wanted to say.
I just want to say something to answer that, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
It's advisable to stick to 2, maximum 3.
Yeah.
Some can do more,
yeah.
But doctors, for your safety, because we're talking about slicing your uterus open over
I was about to break that down.
So
do you know how many slices have to go? This is major surgery.
Yeah.
And they keep saying women are not strong after a major surgery. At least between 7 and 10 slices go into a woman, and she's expected within 6 to 12 hours to even stand up.
Yes.
To start breastfeeding.
Oh my God.
To start receiving visitors. And guess what? All the gifts that are coming to the hospital at that point, it's not for the woman, it's for the baby. Not one gift. Not one, even if it was perfume.
You see that matter?
Even if it was chocolate.
So that's what I make it a point of call.
Imagine.
That whenever I'm visiting a new mom, I'm getting her a gift. And when I'm bringing pepper soup, you would drink pepper soup, my dear.
Yes, that's
Because,
nice.
do you understand? And it's not just about, let the milk flow. No, about that. But then again, I think something that was very important, that is very important with We Church and Mary, I think we had this conversation, is also the consent for CS. Right? In many situations, like a lot of people believe, okay, fine, it's the man that should give, okay, maybe because the woman is in kind of situation. Please, women, it's good to know that you can give consent, you can sign the documents, the release documents yourself to actually have that CS done. So please don't allow any family member hold you to ransom, especially when your life
depends on it.
Right? So yes, I mean, I think we're going to have an entire series on pregnancy and every related issue. But for now, just say, let's give you a tip of the iceberg.
And we want to hear from you, please. We'll have our expert who will come much later in the show and break it all down for us. So you have time, about 15 minutes, to send in your questions if you have any for them, okay?
Use the hashtag WakeUp Nigeria on CBC.
Okay.
All right then, guys, we're taking a quick break. It's Wonder Women Wednesday on WakeUp Nigeria.
We'll be right back. Girls.